producer. Hey, guess what? It's time to start Bollox Talks and Tangents. We're ready to go. Blake Blevins is in the booth. I got my man Lenny here, the mayor.
Hi, team.
The mayor of Long Beach. I had to look and make sure I said it right. So,
You did.
Yeah. So we're talking some student protest, some history of student protest, then and now type situations.
Yes.
We got a great show. We might go off on several different tangents because this one can take us down some roads.
It happens.
Yeah, on the road again.
Yeah.
Believe me, I've been on the road a lot today.
You know, Willie
I did a lot
Nelson
of
has
walking.
2 birthdays.
I did a lot of walking on the road today.
Good for you.
Well, Blake, you okay in there?
Yes, I am okay.
I think Blake just headbutted his microphone stand.
You know, Willie Nelson almost got hit by a bus.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he was playing on the road again.
Oh, yeah. It happens. Car.
Exactly.
All right. Yeah, I had a lot of people that weren't happy with me today.
Oh, yeah?
Well, when's there ever a day that people are happy with
Well,
you?
usually 50% of the people are happy with me. Today, I think I was below that average. I was below average.
Ooh, I'm not even going to ask to know what you did.
Well, I moved the house.
Oh, which one? The MLK house?
The MLK house.
Nice, okay.
It moved to its transition area, and
Okay.
it'll stay there until Sunday, and then the big move's on Sunday.
Nice.
So we blocked up a little bit of A1A.
Congratulations.
Yeah, well, you know, it went great. I mean, the amazing crew, you know, neighbors. There were some great neighbors, and then there were some neighbors. Mrs. Kravitz, you know who you are. If you're watching this show, I don't care if you don't like me.
The house was much more important than tennis.
Yes. Yeah, there was an 80-year-old woman who, you know, and I can say it on this show, told one of the county employees that he had brains like a bag of dicks. 80-year-old woman. 80-year-old woman said this because she was late for tennis.
Late for tennis?
Yes, and she was not nice.
Well, you know, tennis or pickleball? I'm even scared now.
Well, that's what Blake said. Blake said it probably was pickleball. They're a little more violent.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, they're a little more violent.
Certainly
than
more
the tennis
militant.
players.
Yes.
So it was an interesting day. There was people that actually had a house moving party where they were on the balconies and they had mimosas ready and music going, which was nice. So it was a really, really cool thing to see when you see a part of history just riding down the road.
Be glad it was a bungalow and not a bigger house. That's all I'm saying.
We'd have been in trouble if it was
That's
a bigger
all
house.
I'm saying.
We'd had to break it up.
Taking trees down and moving light posts when they moved the space shuttle into L.A. and they had to take stop signs, mailboxes, lamp posts, everything down for the space shuttle to be carted down to where it's getting displayed somewhere in California.
So, wow, that is good bourbon. That is good bourbon. A lot of vanilla in it.
Yeah.
So, and we're drinking Kentucky Owl Confiscated.
Yeah.
So it's one of my very, very favorites. It's about $110 bottle at Browdy's, and read the back. It's got a good story, I think.
In 1916, just prior to Prohibition, the entire Kentucky Owl inventory was seized by the federal government, never to be seen again. Confiscated. Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey is a tribute to the vanished barrels of bourbon and to the opportunities lost. Which means a couple of them, their revenuers, were having a party at home.
It's at 16. That's before Prohibition.
Yeah, just prior to.
Yeah,
that was way prior to. But
so it's 96.4 proof.
And it's not hot.
No,
it's very smooth for that.
Very, very smooth. It is one of my favorite bourbons for sure. All right, today we're talking about protests and different pushbacks of students
on college campuses.
Yes, and you can call them what you want to call them, and the reason I think you wanted to talk about this is because what's going on in our country today. We started with Columbia and then some of the other ones. I think UCLA and
it's everywhere now.
Everywhere now.
Yeah.
One of the things I want to do, because I would love to be on the street with these kids. Mm-hmm. I would love for them to hold a map in front of them
and tell you where the Gaza Strip is,
and just say, what are we talking about?
Where's Israel? Where's Palestine? Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I bet you 30%. No, I bet you 15% might be able to get it right.
And we're talking, a couple of these are Ivy League institutions.
Yes.
So you'd like to think
yes.
so. Well, there was, I think it was CNN that went to the protest on UCLA campus, and they spoke to 2 young women, and they said, "Why are you here protesting?" And one girl looked at the other girl and said,
They didn't even know.
No clue.
I think I did see that interview.
It's like, some of this is FOMO. There's a fear of missing out. It's an event, but this is not an event that you should go mit and drin and just wander into without having an idea of what's going on. And the reason I think this is such an interesting topic today is because I think there's a tremendous amount of the country right now that has no understanding of the fact that in the very late 60s and the early 70s, 68, 69, 70, this happened on college campuses with dramatically different results, accomplished a tremendous amount, and cost a lot of people some lives and livelihoods.
Yeah.
So this is nothing new for America today.
Yeah.
It's transitional, and we'll see what comes of this.
So you went to an Ivy League school.
I did. One that we'll talk about today, as a matter of fact.
Yeah, you went to an Ivy League school. What years were you in
I was there
college?
from 1976 to 1980, which was a very wonderful and peaceful time in the country.
Yeah.
I graduated in 1980, and there was prosperity in the country until 1984 when there wasn't. So I was very fortunate. I was a bicentennial graduate in high school.
Interest rates sucked, but the country was still doing good.
I wasn't doing anything on time at the point, so
Yeah.
I was fine.
Yeah,
Came out, there were jobs available for graduates. So it was an interesting time. So, I consider myself fortunate time-wise. I'm one of the 2 years that never had to register for selective service.
Okay. I had to do that in '85.
Right. Yeah, 58 and 59 were the only 2 years. If you were born in 1958 or 59, you did not have to register for selective service. 1960, back in the boat.
Came back.
Yep.
Okay.
Like I said, a bicentennial graduate of high school in 1976. Everything was red, white, and blue and rosy. In 1980, we graduated. There was prosperity. 84, the walls fell down, but it came back up after that too.
Yeah. No, it always seems to have a little bounce.
Yeah.
No matter who's ever in gets to take the credit.
For sure.
But usually it's the person that was three or 4 years ahead.
Right, exactly. There's a drag and a lag.
All right, we got to talk
how do we
about
pay for this stuff? Yeah, how do we pay for this show?
We got to talk about our sponsors. All right, we're going to start off with Anastasia Mini Golf, miniature golf, located there on Anastasia Boulevard, right across from Gypsy Cab.
Yep.
Our Tuesday night hangout.
Ooh, baby.
They have amazing little golf course there. They have beer and wine. Just a fun place. Yes, that is the one with the pirate ship on Anastasia Boulevard.
And now I need to qualify something here.
Yes.
Because it's a pirate ship on Anastasia Boulevard, but the one on St. Augustine Beach has a boat on it as well, a ship on it as well.
We don't talk about that one.
I know. They're not paying us
Yeah,
yet.
we don't talk about that
well,
one.
if they give... But that one looks like it's Captain Hook's boat. If you look at it, the way it's built,
You're
it looks
still
like,
talking about you.
Talking about what? I'm talking about the beautiful one on Anastasia Boulevard.
There you go.
Anastasia Golf.
Thank you for coming back to me.
Well, I just don't want people to see a boat there and think they should go to that one. They should go to the one with the pirate ship.
Anastasia Boulevard.
The pirate ship.
Yes.
There you
Anastasia Miniature Golf.
Across from
Anastasia.
Gypsy Cab.
You don't have to go that far, all the way out to the beach. Whoever lives out there, I don't know who would do that. All right. But also the big separation is soft serve and beer and wine.
And beer and wine, exactly.
All right. Kaiser's Deli and Market. Blake, did you eat there today?
Yes, I did.
All right.
Excellent.
Let me guess. White Street Toasted.
No.
Bollox
What?
toasted.
The Bollox toasted.
The Bollox
We
Toasted.
brought him into the fold.
Oh,
Not only is he a producer, he's an eater.
You like ranch, you like turkey. Was it okay?
It was good.
And you
All
like
right.
bacon.
Yes.
Yeah, he's a big bacon guy.
Yeah.
So,
But
That's
but
a nice sandwich.
but
I tried growing all my own food, but I couldn't find bacon seeds.
but Lenny,
Yeah. You just should have gone home and grabbed the pig.
Yeah.
I did hear some rumors though. Or is Kaiser planning on adding a new meat to the selection very soon?
Ooh, you may have more information than I do right now. I have to see my friend
Really?
Kurt tomorrow to see if I'm
I gotta
stuffing
see
the
what that
freezer
is.
on Monday.
Really? All right. All right. There might be a new meat that might be adding to a custom made sandwich.
Okay.
All right, now I'm intrigued.
Now we'll have to pay attention. Good tease.
Good.
tease. All right.
Stay tuned next week, and we'll have an announcement for you.
All right. Exactly. St. Augustine Pirate Museum, just one of the best places in town. Wonderful people over there. They do an amazing job. You have family in town and you don't take them to the Pirate Museum, you're a horrible
Shame on
relative.
you.
Horrible relative. All right. Abear Kresge and Associates. If you're doing your own taxes, you're giving money away. That's what you do. These guys are the best at taxes. They'll help you set up your business. They'll help you make your dollar go a little bit further. All right. These guys here at Meehan's. You ever heard of that place?
Been there a couple times.
All right.
It's on my agenda to go back.
Meehan's Irish Pub, they won Taste of St. Augustine.
Yeah.
All right. We talk about how amazing the food is at Meehan's every week. And these guys knocked it out of the park and won Taste of St. Augustine.
I think
of
it was
all the restaurants in town.
A shrimp dish
grand
with
prize.
cilantro rice, and it was a snazzy little shrimp dish that they did.
Yeah. So, congratulations to
Absolutely.
Reggie and the entire crew of their chef.
But we know how
Amazing
good
job.
they are, and we just need
Cheers
to
to
encourage more
Meehan's.
people. Absolutely.
Hold
More
on,
people need to go there.
I got to get the 904 out.
Right, as
There you
opposed
go.
to your name. Now,
Yeah.
But now you can tell who you are.
Yes. Yeah. I am Troy. All right. St. Augustine Distillery and Citygate Spirits, two of the best tasting tours in the entire country. Actually, one's number one. St. Augustine Distillery is ranked number one best tasting tour in the entire country. But I can tell you the truth. I love the variety and flavors at Citygate Spirits.
There's some fun stuff
You
there.
know.
It really is.
Everybody in your group is going to run into a flavor they love at Citygate Spirits. So,
Just bring that stuff home with a bag of ice and some club soda, and you're in business.
yeah, that's all you need in the world. All right, let's get right into it. We usually do word origins. You have one, I have one.
Okay.
All right, you go first.
Well, the world is a little bit mucked up nowadays, and it seems that everybody's going haywire.
Okay.
So that's my word for today, haywire.
Okay, haywire, does that have anything to do with the baling
That's
of
where
hays?
it comes from.
Okay.
In 1900, around 1900,
Every once in a while, the
joined
farm boy
lexicon.
gets it right.
It's right. Yeah, there you go. There's baling wire that you would use to bale your rolls of hay. And when you coil this stuff up, it really is untamed, and it does whatever the hell it wants if you're not careful. These things will spring around. They uncoil. It's sharp. And if you're not careful, you'll cut yourself and you'll hurt yourself from this wild wire.
Yeah, well, it's the knucklehead that works on the farm. There's always somebody who works with you who snips it and lets it fling.
Yeah, yeah.
And when you snip it and let it fling, it's usually hitting someone, and
And it's sharp.
it's going to leave a mark.
I mean, it's not barbed wire, but it's still sharp.
No, it's just like I don't know if you up north did you guys have to go cut your own switch?
Yeah, we weren't beating people with sticks and switches, so not so much. We had baseball bats. Who are you
Slackers.
kidding? Baseball bats.
like your grandmother said, "Hey, go cut your switch because I'm about to give you a whipping."
No,
You didn't have to do that.
My grandmother was bare hand on my bare back
Here's
because I didn't finish my tuna fish sandwich.
And I don't know.
I love you.
I don't know. Blake,
I
I
do.
know Blake never had to do that. Blake only took one spanking, and it was one good swat across his butt when he was like 5 years old.
Yeah.
That's the only time he ever took a spanking. He never got out of line again.
That's going to be a major chapter in your biography.
Yes. Please don't explain why that, or have we already on this show?
I don't think we have on this show.
Go ahead.
But
I give you permission.
You're giving me permission to do it.
He's such a good man.
All right.
He's
so
such a good
it's
man.
embarrassing, but he was in kindergarten. So Blake was in kindergarten, and he, I'm a guy. I pee outside. He peed outside with me. All right. Well, Blake decided that in kindergarten in the after-school program he was going to pee on the playground. He just whips it out and starts peeing on the playground. All right. He does it. He tells me he gets in trouble a little bit, like, hey, you can't do that. And he does it again the next day because they had me come pick him up early because he did that. All right. In Blake's mind, that means he doesn't have to stay at after school program anymore. So if I pee, it's worth the scolding. But I know Blake's so smart that he was doing it on purpose. So I made it where it wasn't worth his while to ever pee in front of the little girls in kindergarten again. And that's when he got his one swat. Might have been two. But it was enough to leave an impression.
Yeah.
And he never
Do you have a picture of that impression on his cute little butt?
No, he never ever had to get spanked again. All I had to do was go,
okay.
ah.
Oof.
Like, is that story accurate in your memory?
That story was accurate. It was so accurate, in fact, that people couldn't see it. But I actually had to take off my headphones just so I didn't have to hear the story again.
The flashbacks.
the trauma of it all.
The PTSD, the Vietnam flashbacks.
Oh goodness!
Flashbacks. my mom and dad were belt people.
Oh,
My grandmother was a switch person. So if I ever got spanked by my grandmother, my Nana, she made us go out and get the switch. The spanking wasn't as bad as picking out your own switch.
Right, exactly.
Because if you picked out one that was a little too thin and a little too, it cut you.
It could leave a mark for sure.
No, it cut you.
Yeah.
All right. So you had to pick out one, and then if you picked out one that broke, then that beating was worse. So you had to. There was a happy median of where you picked out your switch, and Nana, she was a psychological genius. And I think it only happened twice. The fact that it happened twice shows that Blake's much smarter than me.
Well,
and I took way more beatings than Blake ever did. But
pushing outside of the envelope. I can say that I don't know if I was well behaved, crafty, or ran fast. But like I said, I can only remember only getting smacked on the back. My parents were school teachers, so if I came home for lunch, my grandmother was there. And apparently I was not enjoying my tuna fish sandwich to delight her the way she wanted to be delighted. Mm-hmm. And I got one crack on my bare. It was hot. It was summer. It was and man, just one open hand smack on the back, and that hurt. Mm-hmm. And I never ate the sandwich from the point again or from the middle again. I always went to the point. But that was it. Yeah, no, not a whole lot.
Yeah, the worst one I took was when I got in trouble for throwing the mutt potatoes. My mom lost it because at that time there were scanners, and the neighbor across the street heard my name come across the scanner and went across and told my mom before the police called, and she had to come there. And the person, my mom was so mad. She was still mad. She drove over and got me, and the guy who we broke a windshield. It was the big kid threw it way up in there. I was only throwing it at the tires. The big kid threw it way up in there and broke the windshield of this guy. He helped me put my bike in the back of my mom's car. And he said, he was the most polite kid. He was like fighting, and my mom basically told him, "Don't tell me how to raise my kid." And the police officer, when she got there, she was the first parent there, starts scolding her about her parenting skills. So that made her even madder.
Oof.
All right. And I remember being in the car, and, I was at arm's reach. I was with it was stupid. I should have leaned, because my mom had short arms. I could have got away.
Right.
I was just dumb.
You're wiry.
And my mom starts going on this tirade, and I think the only word I got out was, but. I don't think I got the T out. All right, and she slaps me so hard with this type of movement. I know I'm going off camera. This type of movement, it catches me across my jaw. It hits me so hard. And I'm 13 years old. I'm
all right.
I'm still small,
right.
I'm pretty wiry at this time. She catches me here and just smashes my head against the windshield. And I was like, oh man, I really screwed up. All right, we get home. She takes out the belt and she starts working me over. My sister, who's 2 years older, who never takes up for me, like when I'm in trouble, she's like, "You're on your own."
Right.
She's
sitting with the popcorn.
She comes in and says something to my mom, like, "Hey, I think he's got it." And my mom turns around and hits her with the belt. My sister looks at me and went, "Good luck." She didn't change reaction at all.
Love you, no shit. Gotta go.
But here's the beauty of those times. I never got put on restrictions. Right. I got to go to the skating rink that night.
Right.
But I mean, I learned my lesson.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and I don't think I ever took another spanking from my parents after that. I mean, I know in middle school I got paddled a couple times at school. Did you get paddled at school?
No.
How good a kid were you? I can't see this being true.
First of all, I was a very good kid. Second of all, my parents taught in the same school district that I went to school with, so that's why I was a very good kid. up until high school, where we had a little altercation with some Florida quasi-law enforcement at a hotel outside of Disney when we came down to play in the Electric Parade. And,
Wow.
well,
When
let's
you were
just
with
say,
the band?
Yeah.
Oh.
And, one of the scariest things I ever saw was the house detective walking down the hall as we're sitting on the floor there, as he opens his belt. He opens his jacket to show the pistol on his belt. And he says, "This is Florida." Man, why did I move to this state after that? I should have been
I don't know.
traumatized for life.
He showed you his gun?
Well, he didn't wave it around. He just made sure that we noticed it. It's a bunch of, Long Island kids from New York who got busted for smoking dope on a school trip.
Oh, okay.
Let's just say the flight home was a long flight because I had to face my parents. I didn't care about anybody else. I had to face my parents. Shit. And, and again.
So that's your
wasn't
first time of learning about
It was
weapons in Florida.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It was the embarrassment that I caused for my parents.
Oh, that was the whole thing that
Right.
was key with my mom. When my neighbor came, Mrs. Lohmeyer, who was usually a very sweet lady, and she ratted me out. But when she walked across the street and said that to my mom, it was humiliating to my mom.
Well, I would say the only benefit of that was it was at the very end of the year. We had our high school band got selected to play the Electric Parade in Disney World. It's a great trip. We had a great time. It's just a funny story. I mean, it's one of these things. One of the kids had his weed in a.
So if you were in high school, so you
yeah.
said 76, so it would have been
This
74, 75.
I was a junior, not a senior.
So that would have been 74.
So that was 75. I graduated in 76.
Okay. All
So
right.
it might have been 75. Yeah.
Might have been 75.
Right.
So Disney had only been open like 2 years.
All right. Okay.
So,
So
there
we're
was
playing one of the
still
first ones.
e-ticket
Right.
rides.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So
I used to like
it
that.
could be one of
Jungle
our-
Cruise, e-ticket.
It,
Right.
it could be one of
Dumbo.
our word origins.
A-ticket.
Yeah,
Right.
A-ticket. So
But one of the guys had brought his weed in a plastic bag hidden inside a baby powder, those Johnson & Johnson white baby powder bottles.
yeah.
And when there was the pounding on the door and he knew the jig was up, he went out to his little terrace and threw it over. The fucking thing landed in an open convertible.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's just bad luck. That's
Well,
just bad luck.
it was the end of the year. We got suspended. We didn't miss classes. We were allowed to take our finals. And school started the next year, and life was good.
Well, I mean, once I got to high school, I had to behave myself because I needed to stay eligible for baseball.
You needed a
And
scholarship. right.
baseball, and I needed the scholarship because I can tell you right now, I wasn't going to school if it wasn't for my scholarship. So I kind of stayed out of trouble. I got a lot of my friends in trouble because I still had the very mischievous mind, which I don't know if you know, I may or may not still have today.
We'll debate that
Yeah.
in your favor.
Yes, yeah, I think it's creative now.
I agree.
Here's the
I
difference.
agree.
Like mischievous kids were always my favorite kids when I watch kids, because they're usually intellect level is a
Right,
little
there's a
higher.
creativity,
There's a
exactly.
creativity that
Yes,
comes along with
yes.
it, and a lot of my mischievous kids, my rec kids that I see today, are very successful
Right.
adults.
Right.
It's still it's the beauty of being in the same town for a long time.
Right. Right.
I was doing the move today, and I look up, and there's like 3 kids that I've known since they were like 6 or 7 years old that either played in my basketball league or I knew their parents, or and I was like, and they were helping me with that move
Right,
today.
right.
I was like, gosh, these are generational changes that are really cool. So that's part of what I really love about St. Augustine is
Right.
it still
Any
has
small town, right.
It still has that.
Right. Exactly.
So
And that's what we left in Long Beach. We're starting to get it here now, but we'll never have what you have here, being relatively a lifer. But that was Long Beach. Generations never left, and the familial connections were what made that community great, as it does here.
yeah.
I mean, we didn't have any Menorcans, but we may do.
Yeah. No, I do a lot of field trips with Blake, and I got to give a shout out to one of Blake's friends, Kenny Logan, signing this week. He signed with the Rams. Is that correct, Blake?
Yes,
Really?
that's correct. Yep.
Yeah.
Very nice.
And Kenny was one of those mischievous kids.
Right.
He was a very smart young man. I know his brother. I coached his brother early on, but I only knew Kenny through Blake's field trips. But it was one of those kids that I was like, that's the guy I like.
Where did he go to school?
He went to Osceola Elementary School, and then he went to Pedro Menendez later on. He went to Kansas.
Okay. That's what I was working up to that. Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
His college career was with Kansas.
Okay, good
so
for
and
him.
his half brother is Brandon James, who was an All-American at Florida.
Okay.
So congratulations, Kenny.
Well, I will
proud
say
of you, and
that your mischievous streak is still there, but you put it to very good and beneficent use.
Yes.
So I commend you and I thank you for that.
Yeah.
You are truly a public servant.
well, the creativity comes into play.
Right.
So
well,
I feel very happy that I think everyone has the same thoughts I have.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of times I get credit for the one who is brave enough to go, if it doesn't work, it doesn't work.
right.
You
Which is the key.
And a lot of the things I try don't work.
But you got to take a shot.
Yeah. And that's.
Hey, look, my grandmother used to teach us, ask. Worst that somebody can say is no.
Mm-hmm.
And, if you get past that, you're in business.
Yeah. So, all right. My word origin.
Go ahead.
My word origin
I was
is,
ready to burn down a couple campuses.
No. We're not burning them down yet, but, we're getting to the origin of the burning.
Okay.
All right. Because I was like, all right, I didn't have a word origin until like 1 minute before.
See how well you do under pressure?
Yes. Okay. So I was like, I wonder where the word student came from. And it gave me a very quick and easy answer. Mm-hmm. University of Google. I don't know if you've ever been there.
I don't pay tuition. Well, actually, every now and then I pay tuition to Wikipedia once every 2 years out of guilt.
Yeah, but it's an excellent university. A lot of people attend, and I'm not sure if anything's taught me more.
Yeah, well,
than what the internet. I've
certainly
learned
easy.
I've learned more in the last 5 years than I probably did my first 52 years, whatever it was, because my mind lets me, and it's so easy, like you said, it's access. So I looked up the word student. Mm-hmm. All right, it's an old French word, and it's estudiant. All right, sounds very much like student, and it's a very simple definition. It's from the 14th century, and it means he who studies.
Perfect.
Scholar.
Perfect.
And estudiant.
Okay.
So, and it's a very simple definition, but it came from the 14th century.
And we've all been students, and if we're smart, we still are students.
We still are. We'll always be students.
For sure.
So we'll always be students. All right. So we're talking about protest and student activism.
Yeah, correct.
Activism.
Yeah.
Hard for me to say.
Okay.
Oh my gosh, my phone's blowing up here. But I wanted to check something really quick. All right. So I wanted to know where the very first student activism showed up in history.
Right. You went way into the way back machine.
So I went into
Mr. Peabody.
I went into the 300s BC.
Right.
University of Venice. Okay.
That's where Dogecoin came from.
What?
Dogecoin? Yeah, the Doges. They had coins. They had a lot of coins.
Yes, they did.
Venice ran the world for quite some time.
Yes, they did. But very similar to our spring break.
Okay.
Venice had a mini break that was supposed to be scheduled. Aristotle, philosopher, scholar, was there in town in Venice to speak to the students. The university canceled what is now their spring break.
Okay.
The students weren't happy. So the very first student uprising that I could find in history was because Aristotle was speaking at Venice, and they boycotted and actually did almost not a riot,
right,
but a disruption of citizens' activity in Venice. So I don't know. Did you go that far back?
No. I stayed contemporary. I only went 50 years back.
Okay.
I was able to get a whole lot of stuff 50 years ago.
All right. And I was like, okay, what was the first American one? All right. And I'm going to read this one because this is all I got.
Not Edgar Allan Poe walking naked at West Point?
Before that.
Okay.
Before that. So it goes back to Harvard as the first one. The first class of students protested against President Nathaniel Eaton for his leadership. Specifically, and I didn't mean to throw this in, they objected to Eaton's practice of beating students as a form of discipline. Eaton's wife, charged with feeding students, also faced scrutiny for her practice of serving mackerel with their guts in them and goat's dung in Hastings pudding. In 1639, the students successfully pushed the Eatons out in a court case.
I wonder if that's where the Hasty Pudding Club at Harvard comes from.
Nope. That came, the pudding club? Oh, the...
Hasty Pudding.
Oh, Hasty Pudding Club. Yes, that is where it came from. Yes. Yeah. I thought you were talking about the Harvard Butter Rebellion.
No.
Which is another one.
Butter is beautiful.
Butter, well, the Stinketh Butter of 1766 was also
not good.
A big scuttlebutt.
Leave my ass out of this, would you please?
Yes.
Thank you.
Well, sometimes you need to scuttle your butt.
I do.
Yes, and just sit your ass down. If you scuttle your butt, you sit your ass down. All right? And that happened. That took place in 1766.
The Butter Rebellion.
Yeah, the Butter Rebellion
and
of
what
Harvard.
was that? I'm intrigued because butter is just magic.
Well, evidently they didn't give them good butter.
Oh, well.
Behold, our butter stinketh. Give us, therefore, butter that stinketh not, was the chant.
Oh, God.
Of the rebellion of 1766.
Did not roll off the tongue, did it?
10 years before we were a country.
Did not roll off the tongue.
Harvard needed butter. So the Boston Butter Rebellion might have been.
I got to delve into that.
Yes.
I will say that in first grade with Mrs. Graham, who was an elderly woman even then, teaching first grade, we made butter in class. Now, everybody made butter in class at some point in time in their kindergarten, first grade career.
Yep.
And they had a jar with cream in it and would shake it and pass it around and shake it and pass it around and shake it and pass it around.
I didn't make butter in my kindergarten class.
You were getting switched in your kindergarten class for peeing outside, man.
Yeah. You weren't in kindergarten in 64.
But, right. God, thank God neither was I. But it was close. Actually, it might have been. But Mrs. Graham, being the elderly woman, she brought in a KitchenAid. Put in a mixer and put the cream in it and put the whisk in and turned it on. And it was the most amazing thing I ever saw because, you've got the cream and then all of a sudden it gets to whipped cream. And then you start to see yellow traces in it. And then all of a sudden it breaks into the curds and the wheys and you have the sweet cream butter, which we tasted on Ritz crackers, salted Ritz crackers. And that was...
Everything's better on the Ritz.
I'm telling you. And that's one of the reasons I got into cooking. I was so fascinated by that. That was, I'm telling you, it was a seminal moment in my life to make butter that way.
And right now, I'm feeling like I failed as a father. Because one of my best moments as a kid was making homemade ice cream.
Ooh.
And
Salt
Blake,
and crank?
I apologize. And we might have to do this within the next month. I might have to find a homemade ice cream maker with the churn.
The crank and the salt
with the
and the
crank
rock
and the
salt.
salt. And
Yeah,
the
yeah,
rock
the
salt.
rock salt,
Yeah.
sure.
So
I have a recipe for you that I will give you. I have Thomas Jefferson's ice cream recipe.
Okay, now I really feel like I failed as a father. So to make up for this, Blake, will you allow me to make up for being the horrible father that I am? And we're going to find a homemade ice making machine.
Ice cream.
Ice cream machine. Ice cream machine. Thank you, Blake.
And you can make Thomas Jefferson's ice cream.
No.
Julie, what do you mean no?
That means I'm still a horrible father.
I'm joking.
He's
Yes,
not even
yes.
letting me make up to him.
That's it,
We-
forget
we-
it.
we
And
can
I was
find-
gonna- and I was going to make butter with him. I don't know about that now.
We can find something to do.
Okay. All right.
We're going to Vegas anyway, so.
So would you rather go to Vegas or make ice cream?
Go to Vegas.
Okay. Kid's got his
He's
priorities.
so rational. Okay,
Yeah, he's
good.
got-
We
he's
don't have
good.
to worry about him now. He's good.
Yes.
He's good.
So
Okay.
So I didn't fail you as a father.
No.
Okay. All right.
Taking him to Vegas. You certainly did not. There you go.
It's close. Third year in a row.
Where you guys staying?
We stayed at the Venetian.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Oh, good. Well, we'll be at the Palazzo at the end of the month, so say
Yeah.
hello for me.
Same crew.
When are you going?
We're going the 10th through the 15th.
Just as you are leaving,
Uh-huh.
the tie-dyed army will be approaching.
Oh, is that when the...
Because that's when the
Deadhead-
Dead's residency starts.
that's when the
I think
Deadhead
that's the
starts?
first weekend.
Yeah.
They do
That's
Thursday,
the reason
Friday,
that's the
Saturday.
reason I selected that weekend,
Okay.
because you guys are taking over the hotels after that.
Oh, yeah. For 3 nights for the next 8, 9, 10 weeks.
Yep. So, yeah, Blake, Rebecca, and myself will be departing late Tuesday night and getting back here in Jacksonville on Wednesday.
Wow. Oh, you're going for a week.
No, we're leaving Friday. We're leaving Friday, coming back Wednesday. So 5
Gotcha.
days.
Okay, good.
So.
Okay. All right. That's a good trip.
All right. You have some.
You pick a college, any college. You want to stay in theme? I've got 2 Ivy Leagues. I've got Columbia and I've got Cornell. I've got San Francisco State University and I've got Kent State.
Okay.
You pick one and we'll go.
I got to sneeze real quick.
Gesundheit.
It's not happening.
That's what happens.
Okay.
May the gods bless you.
Sorry.
Carry on.
Okay. I think we got to hit probably the most famous one, Kent State.
Okay.
I don't think we can do this show without Kent State. So 1970.
Correct.
Okay.
May 4th, 1970.
Wow, Star Wars Day.
Yeah. May the 4th be with you. If it was then, there would have been people
I
still alive.
didn't realize that. And that's going to be the Stormstadt in a couple days.
Okay.
Okay.
The Ohio National Guard was called out. The protest was basically about the Vietnam War and the fact that Richard Nixon had expanded it or was claiming to expand it into Cambodia.
Yes.
And that was the mitigating factor here. 28 soldiers fired 67 rounds into the crowd of protesters, all unarmed. There were 300 people in protest on that campus. And they were against the expansion of the war into Cambodia. 28 soldiers, 67 rounds, 13 seconds. As the song
Wasn't it
goes...
supposed to be rubber bullets? And
It was
obviously was not.
It was not. As
I
the
mean,
song goes,
wasn't that what they
I don't know that they even had rubber bullets back then.
Yeah.
Honestly, in 1970,
Yeah,
I'd be
they
surprised.
had rubber bullets
Did
in
they?
1970.
Okay.
Because I know I got hit with some rubber bullets in like 75
Okay,
as a 9-year-old.
man, you
Don't steal oranges.
You got to vest your friends a little bit better, man.
No, don't steal oranges from the guy.
Yo, you're lucky you had rubber bullets.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying. Bow, bow, bow. But it ended up creating the song of "For Dead in Ohio," Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young.
Yeah.
Brilliant song, terrible tragedy. As a matter of fact, the older sister of a very, very good friend of mine was in Kent State at the time. And she got on a plane, and when her parents picked her up off the plane, she was still bleary-eyed and smelled of the tear gas that had been there. That's how quick she got home from Ohio to New York and how traumatized she was being there to see that. Blake, you got the picture of Marianne Vecchio?
Give me 1 second.
It's a Pulitzer Prize-winning photo that basically encapsulates the entire event, and it's this young woman, Marianne Vecchio, kneeling over the body of a student named Miller who was shot and one of the 4 people killed. There were 9 other people wounded at the time. 8 National Guardsmen were accused of not murder, but of depreciation or deprivation of rights under the color of law.
Okay.
Which means if you're in law enforcement, you can't cede somebody's civil rights or their rights just because you're in law enforcement.
Yeah.
Their rights still supersede your ability as a law enforcement officer. And 8 of them were accused. They were all found not guilty. But it was one of the most... Did you put it up there, Blake?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah. So that young woman was Marianne Vecchio. The photo won a Pulitzer Prize. She's kneeling over a student named Miller who was shot and killed.
Is there any way we can full screen it in here where we can see it a little bit better?
Like so it's
Yeah, because it's just partially screened on the television here.
Oh, sorry.
Are you not familiar with that picture?
You'll
recognize it.
Yes, no, it's very iconic picture.
Right. It won a Pulitzer Prize. That photograph won a Pulitzer Prize.
So is that her kneeling?
She's Marianne Vecchio. That's the woman kneeling over it. The student is I forget his first name, Miller. And that set off a whole bunch of anti-war protests on top of it. Now, leading up to that, you had anti-war protests that commingled with racial protests.
Yeah.
They become
Yeah,
intertwined.
and that's one I have. I have one of the North Carolina A&T.
Was that a sit-in?
That was the
the
first
lunch counter
the
sit-in?
first lunch counter.
Correct.
So that launched the whole lunch counter that also connected us to our St. Augustine 4.
Right, exactly. But those happened off campus.
Yeah, but it was North Carolina A&T
students.
A&T state universities, and I didn't know about this rule, and I want to make sure I'm saying it correctly. Where there was a rule in place that it was in loco parentis.
Local parentis, yeah.
Yeah.
In absence of your parents.
In place of your parents.
In place of
your parents.
Correct. That's like a guardianship.
Was in place until the 1960s. So and what that is the university, and the reason it was in place, and I didn't realize this either, early universities, you started going to those universities at 13, 14 years old.
If you were Sheldon Cooper.
Yeah. Well, obviously I'm not that.
Right, yeah.
I'm not Sheldon. But this was in place until the 1960s.
Yeah.
So
where local parentis still exists as a facet of law, and it's a guardianship. It's things of that nature.
Yeah.
But I went the other way. Kent State, 1968, San Francisco State College. Was much more racially motivated, but they shut down the campus. The student strike there lasted for 4.5 months, canceled classes, and shut down the university. The university president resigned. Ronald Reagan tried to make it look like he was doing the right thing by putting in a person of color who was somebody of Japanese descent, S.I. Hayakawa. If that name is the least bit familiar to anybody, he became the U.S. Senator in California for years and years and years. And this guy went in there to quell and try to, oh, look, we're putting in a person of color because the organizations in San Francisco State College, 133 days without classes, campus shut down. And because San Francisco was such a union town, there were bits and pieces when the students were on strike that the labor unions supported the strike and shut down the city in other ways.
Wow.
Yeah, the labor unions supported the strike for a while on and off. 400 arrests. But they were asking for interesting things. First of all, it was the Vietnam War was a problem. And it was a compendium of student groups. It was the SDS, which was pretty much the predominantly white Students for Democratic Society, and they were, leftists. Everybody talks about radicals. They were leftist radicals at the time, for sure. The Black Panthers, which came out of Oakland, California, so it was, just on the other side of the bay, were involved in it, but it was the Black Student Union that was the predominant group there. And then you had TWILF, Third World Liberation Front.
Okay.
The Black Student Union and the SDS figured they could go more global by getting Filipinos, Chinese, Japanese, other African students involved in it to try to broaden their appeal. And then there was a white group called the Programs that were basically into it. They were much more, what's the word I have here? Reformist. They were much more reformist as opposed to the SDS. So you had two white groups on either side of it. You had reformists and you had radicals in the SDS. And then, but what came out of this is really kind of wonderful. First of all, San Francisco State University was a commuter college. Older students, people from the working world, they had jobs, they had things that they were risking by getting involved in this. And it appealed to these people because they were older, they were more adjusted. They weren't just students, that they weren't 18, 19, 20-year-old kids. These were much older people that were going to college there. Well, out of this became the first established black students, the Black Studies Department. And that was one of their goals, was to, what about teaching black history? Well, who cares about that? Well, apparently Florida doesn't. But now this.
Okay. Don't throw a jab.
I'll bob and weave. I'll take this on.
Hey,
I'll take this on.
You brought your ass to Florida, and you just threw a jab at Florida.
I'll take it on.
Don't throw a jab unless you're willing to take a counter punch.
Go ahead.
Because
come on.
Right now, what did I do today?
No.
What was my movie about? Don't throw a jab at Florida.
Oh, no.
Don't throw
Civil
a jab
rights
at
in Florida. Started in Florida. I'm on board with you, brother.
Yeah, what was my movie
about? It wasn't
about?
you. It was the governor.
Yeah, but you threw it at Florida.
I take it back.
At Florida.
The political will in Florida today that will not let universities
statements like that are like, take your ass back to New York.
Fine.
Okay. So
I apologize for my misdirection.
Yes.
I was definitely not aiming at you.
You should have said the governor.
The Manny Diaz, isn't he the commissioner of education in the state right now?
Yep.
And you know, and it's a losing dog in this fight, except for the fact that they're gonna go to the mattresses with this, and you know, don't go to the mattresses against Italians. You just don't win.
No.
But you know, they brought about the first African studies, department chairs, African American teachers. And created a department, which then resonated throughout the country. But how ignorant can the educational system in Florida be to ignore, downplay, or presume that they learn skills and trades by being slaves? I'm sorry. It just doesn't compute. It just doesn't flow. It's just, in my opinion, racist and ignorant. And I'm sorry. Hi, online, on video. I'm not taking that shit back.
Here's
my wife is going to yell at me when I get home, by the way.
Yeah, you're probably going to get in trouble. Here's the thing.
It won't be the first time, and I promise it won't be the last, and I will take it.
It's very contradictory of what your statement you just made, and I support what your statement is about the education and ignoring and pushing some things.
Correct.
But also, at that exact same time, it has been approved to have a Florida State Black History Museum. We are ranked number one right now in St. Augustine. Eatonville is number 2.
Right.
All right. So there is progress, and we're not going to push against that progress.
No.
That is definitely heading our way. And
I hope the governor wasn't listening and doesn't take it doesn't take it out on St. Augustine.
Guess who gets the final vote? Yeah,
Ronnie in his white boots.
It's a white boots, but So
I'm telling you, if I was Harvard, I'd ask for his diploma back. I'd ask for his degree back. I mean, the man is where he went to Harvard as well, didn't he? Not go to both.
He got his law degree from Yale.
And where's his undergrad? It might not have been Florida.
I don't know.
But yeah, okay, right, exactly. Look, the Ivy League should be embarrassed at a lot of people that have turned out there and are, because by the same token, our governor, thinks that Ivy League students are elitist. Get a mirror, buddy, would you please?
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
Have a little bit of gravitas in what you're saying.
All right, I'm going to lighten it up. One of the things, one of the biggest pushbacks and the biggest things.
I'm so getting yelled at when I get home.
Oh, you're so getting yelled at. Well, I'm going to yell at you if we don't get the museum. And he says, I watched this guy on Bollox.
Right. Except for the fact that our viewership will go up.
Oh, it'll go up amazingly.
If the governor does this, we're charging more for sponsors. Get in your sponsorship now.
It'll go up amazingly.
All right. God.
So, interesting protests that I've seen.
Mm-hmm.
All right. One of the most common ones is like shooters on campuses.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Safety.
Yeah.
Safety on campuses. Okay. So, in 1966, University of Texas at Austin, 17 people were killed
from the tower
before the police actually shot him from the tower.
Yeah.
He climbed the tower, shot.
That was horrible.
So Texas now has passed a law about concealed carry on campus. I'm a concealed carry guy.
Right.
All right.
Do they prevent it or allow it?
But here's the other thing. It bans sex toys.
But you can have a gun on campus.
All right. The protest is now known as Cocks, not clocks. Cocks, not Glocks.
Right.
All right. So this is a protest. So
is this happening now?
Yeah. It's very recently.
Very recently.
Right. All right. So at University of Austin, history major argued, "We have crazy laws here, but it is by far the craziest that you can't bring a dildo on campus legally, but you can bring a gun."
Hang on. Let me ask you a question. What if the dildo fires bullets? What if it's a dildo-shaped
It's
gun?
not the flaming ass robot dog.
Well, yeah, but I'm telling you, in some Austin Powers movie, there definitely had to be a penis-shaped gun.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure. Well, the boobies were guns,
Okay.
so I don't think they were.
Yeah,
that.
I mean, and that just makes no sense on any level. First of all, open carry in churches, schools, campuses. I think one of the few places you may not be able to is a polling place. Maybe. Maybe.
And I'm a concealed carry guy.
I know. I understand.
And I
feel safe when I'm with you.
I support. I got it. I'm packing right now in case somebody comes in on your governor's statement.
That's it.
I got you.
Oh no, I'll take them on. I'll take them on single-handedly.
I got you.
Thank you.
I got
Thank
you.
you.
So,
I ain't afraid of no crazy people.
Yeah.
I'm crazier than most of them.
You got your Florida man right here.
Oh fuck yeah.
All right. So I'm a concealed, but the fact that they have a law
Right.
that you can't have sex toys, but you have a law that you can have a gun.
Which means there's a lot of
Is that
unhappy
not
co-eds.
Oh yeah, you're just building up tension.
Absolutely, and they need a release.
Yeah.
So then they're going to go shooting from a tower.
You're
It
building
doesn't
up
make any
tension.
sense.
I mean, why would you do such a thing? All right, we haven't talked about our sponsors in this half of the show.
Do they want us to right now?
I don't know if they do. We're going with we're ending Cox not
Hi.
Glocks.
Let me just before Troy does this, let me say the opinions of the on-air talent did not necessarily reflect the opinions of our sponsors. Please do not hold them personally responsible for anything I may say. Thank you.
Do you want to make a pre-record disclaimer for next week's show? Before
We might have to, but I'm okay. That's part of it. You have your right to your opinion, and I have my right to my opinion.
Right, you have your right to my opinion as well.
Yes, and you're going to give me your opinion. All right. One thing that's not up for any argument, St. Augustine Distillery and Citygate Spirits, they put out some of the best liqueurs
great.
and bourbon, and we're drinking a great bourbon today. But
Not theirs, but still good.
Last week we did the Toasted from St. Augustine Distillery, still one of the finest ones you'll find. They do amazing tours. Great flavors at City Gates. If you haven't been there, get over there and check them out. All right, Meehan's grand prize winner, Meehan's Irish Pub. Congratulations over there, guys. You guys have amazing food. Just a wonderful place.
They do such a good job.
3 bars in one. Just incredible. All right.
And their community involvement is really wonderful.
Mm-hmm. Yes. All right. Abear Kresge and Associates, these guys are just the best. That's all you can say. They do my taxes. Anybody who's willing to take on my taxes, they know what they're doing.
There you go.
All right. I can tell you right now, my taxes aren't easy, and these guys are just amazing. And I always feel like they've given me not always the answer I want, but I feel like when I leave there, they're giving me my best possible scenario.
Right.
And I'm not going to be behind bars.
Right. That's
because
the
I'm
key.
too cute for prison.
That's the key. Oh,
Yeah.
You'd be very popular.
I'd be super
very
popular. I'm too cute for prison. All right. St. Augustine Pirate Museum. Over 800 original artifacts. You talk about people that worked
So
in the
interesting.
community like Meehan's, the distillery, Abear Kresge and Associates, Pirate Museum. These guys are always in the community. Cindy and her entire staff do a beautiful job. The Colonial Oak is a part of this also. Mm-hmm. What a great little music venue.
Nice venue.
Wonderful
Good
place to watch the place, and they got
Good
great
bands.
talent. They're
Yeah.
doing an amazing job. All right, this guy Kaiser, I think he might be watching today.
I hope so. Kurt, how are you? We got to talk, by the way. Call me.
Yeah, so I want to hear what this new,
I'm intrigued.
The new meat.
I have an idea what it might be, but I'm not sure.
What's the meats? All
I
right,
don't
so
know.
Kaiser's Deli and Market, it's not just an amazing deli. It's owned by, I know he's watching, so I'm not just sucking up to you. You're a good guy. I know you're trying to play off like you're a tough guy. You're a good guy. You can be a tough guy and still be a good guy.
He's a Red Sox
Kurt
fan.
Kaiser, well, that's the part I was talking about.
Okay.
Right there. It's
And a Bears fan.
That's concerning. Also concerning.
I am just saying.
And he's a
I know,
maniac.
I know.
So, but Kurt, appreciate you being a sponsor. You have an amazing little product over there. The market is great. The beer selection and wine
Beer
selection
selection is the best in the city. You know, the way he curates those beers, and he knows the knowledge of his beers is better than anybody in this town. I stand by that.
Yeah. So and he's somewhat likable.
I know.
Yeah, somewhat.
And he's rather adorable.
Yeah. If you like that kind of thing.
No,
all right.
you know, furry is furry.
Yeah.
So look who's talking. Yeah, all right.
All right. Anastasia Miniature Golf, pretty much across the street.
Apparently,
there.
it has a pirate ship.
It has
I've
a
heard
pirate
that.
ship.
Right.
We're not talking about the other pirate ship.
No. It wasn't a pirate ship.
Yeah.
That was maybe Peter Panic.
We're not talking about that one.
No. We're talking about
beer,
beer, wine, soft serve, and
could have beer and
new
wine.
carpets, plenty of parking on site.
So, and did you call it putt-putt, miniature golf? Which one?
Miniature golf.
Miniature golf.
Miniature golf.
Blake, you called it putt-putt.
Putt.
Putt-putt.
Putty putt.
No one called it putty.
I'm joking. Putt.
Putt-putt. It was putt-putt.
He's fancying it up in there.
And like some
Wee-wee.
old school St. Augustine people
Don't say wee wee. You're going to get spanked again.
called it carpet golf.
Yeah.
So I don't know which way people call it, but I can tell you this: it's the best in town. And go over there. You know,
I'm looking forward to it. We're going to take a friend before we leave town because he likes putt miniature golf or carpet golf.
Yeah.
But he also likes soft serve ice cream. So that's our lure. Ralph, would you like some soft serve? We have to play miniature golf first.
Yes. Oh, okay. Ralph's leaving town.
Yes, he is. Unfortunately,
The nerve.
he's going away for the summer.
I don't think I signed that parent permission form.
Well,
I'm not his parent, but I don't think I signed it.
right, exactly. And in loco parentis.
Yeah. If he went to my school. Woo.
Right.
All right. So
Oof, man.
here's one.
We need to slow the clock down.
Yeah. We only got 2 minutes left.
Yeah.
That's
All
what
right.
I'm
So
saying.
we're going a little more personal.
Go ahead.
Protests that you have been involved in. I've never picketed or I have my own individual protest. If somebody does something or I feel like they've done somebody wrong, I put them, and Blake and everybody in my family understands this. I'll put people on. If you're mean, you get put on my ban list for like 6 months. I'll give you another chance eventually.
Right.
But
That's fair.
But I have a sentence level that I put on. It's usually on restaurants. It might be on stores.
Yeah,
it
restaurants
might
is
be.
fair.
It might be on different things. Blake, are usually my sentences usually fairly fair?
For the most part, yes.
Okay. So
Yeah, I can't think that I've been involved in. I mean, I've stood with labor as far as contracts in the city of Long Beach when I was there, defending our unions. For the most part, every now and again they would ask for a little bit much, and I would try to explain to them that there's only so much blood you can get from the stone of a city. But by that same token, the work they did for the city, and there's degrees of difference between the CSEA and the laborers and the sanitation, the inside water, outside water, sewer department, things like that, the road maintenance, beach maintenance, compared to the fancy ones, the police and fire, which are absolutely necessary, and they all deserve what they get. Unfortunately, it's an expensive thing for a city to manage. But otherwise, no,
I can tell you this: I've really never actively participated in a protest.
Right.
Yeah, I just haven't. I've witnessed and observed certain protests,
Right.
and I'll tell you, and people are going to get upset, and it's okay. I'm a preserver.
You take some heat for a change.
I'm a preserver of history. I take heat all the time, and I'm okay with it. I'm a preserver of history,
Right.
and I was against the monuments moving downtown.
I agree completely.
Wait.
No, I agree completely.
But let me finish my story, because my story changes. I go down and see the people protesting about this moving, and I see the people that were on the side that I thought I was on, spitting on police officers, saying hateful and racist things. And I said, I can't be associated with them. And that's when I backed away from any defense of moving the historic markers. At that point, I was like, the hatred's still here, and I can't be a part of that hatred. And I know people got very upset that I said it very
that's the
very
problem.
active on air, and I was like, they actually are proving the point of why this needs to move, and they're not a representation of overall society, but if you would have witnessed what I witnessed, Lenny,
No, I understand exactly what you're
it
saying,
was
but I have
just so hateful.
But
Yeah.
this is an exaggeration of to the
Like
victors.
you
To the victors
saw it.
go the
Yeah.
spoils.
Yeah, I was-
It becomes revisionist history.
Yeah.
They were put there at a time when it was important to people, and you can't ignore the fact that we had a schism in the country that created a horrific war that cost thousands and thousands and thousands of lives. And then the country came back together, but the
Yeah,
country
and-
really never came back together.
And
That's
I'm
the
watching.
problem.
I'm watching Lincoln right now, a Lincoln documentary right now.
Okay.
And it's done. Seems like it's done pretty well. But I was 100% like I was locked in. I was like, no, this is a part of our history. We can't be moving these things. This is who we are. I mean, even I used the defense of in 1964. This was not an issue when Dr. King was here.
Right.
This was not a plight that we took on. The person who was doing the leading of that, I was completely against. He was he was venomous himself, but he was in it to get his name in the paper, not for the right reasons. And a lot of people do that.
And for us in St. Augustine, when that pillar that was inscribed with the souls that were lost in the Civil War for the Confederacy, I understand that, but it was a monument to the men that were lost. It wasn't aggrandizing the Confederacy. It was acknowledging their sacrifice for and I'll do this in quotes, the lost cause.
Yes.
But my problem with this is because, you know what, somebody's going to come in next and, somebody's going to turn around and we got to get the rest of these monuments out of here because they don't agree with our philosophy. You leave it where it is and you add to it. I mean, the conversation about adding an explanation, right, is a lot more important than removing it and leaving an ignorant hole.
And that's what they did, and other people push for it. And Blake and I wanted him to be a part of it, so we went down there and was witness to it.
Yeah.
And it was embarrassing of what I saw. And a lot of these people are not from St. Augustine.
Well, that's the problem.
But
and on these college campuses, you have outside agitators.
It was almost a celebration of hate at that point, and that's when I was like, okay, it's only a piece of stone.
Okay,
it's only a piece of stone that we were a part of, and it hurt me to change that much.
Yeah,
but the personalities that were involved. And Blake and I had this conversation. Right. I was strongly like, no, we're leaving that alone. I sit on his story.
Wholeheartedly
I was
concur.
strongly like, we're leaving that alone. And luckily, a family person came up and said, we're not destroying it. We're taking it to another location.
Moved it to Trout somewhere.
Trout Creek.
Right.
Trout Creek.
But does that now make that a draw for certain segments of the population that want to acknowledge that?
I know the gentleman who owns it. And he did it with a good heart.
No, I understand that. I know, I appreciate that. It didn't get destroyed, and it's still there. Yeah. And this particular monument is a recognition of people who lost their lives.
No,
so it's veritably it's a tombstone to some degree.
It was such a torment for me at that time, and because I was, like I said, I was 100% like this needs to stay here until I see other human beings who I would think would be normal human beings are spitting on black police officers and using the N-word to them.
Now, these were people that were
they wanted the monument. They wanted the monument to stay.
Oh, fine. Well, that makes more sense.
And they wanted the monument to stay.
Right.
And that's when I was like, I can't be on the same side as this guy. And
no, but from a different point of view. But you have a different perspective. His perspective was that, and I don't even want to begin to think of what his perspective may have been.
But I mean, it was one of those things. I don't think I've ever done such a 180 so immediately in my life. I'm usually a very decisive, and I'm staying with this is my decision and this is my decision. Blake, like I said, was there. There was another protest that was there that was a conflict going back and forth that somebody was unjustly talked about. We went down there and witnessed that. But the protest actually turned me against my own decision.
It almost reinforced some of the rationale for moving it, but I disagree with it because now you get a new populist movement.
I would have loved, and we can't go back in time and do this, but I would have loved to have been standing side by side because you and I came from completely different viewpoints. You're a history lover,
Absolutely,
100%,
absolutely.
and we came from completely different viewpoints of where this was at. So I would have loved to have had you side by side with me, eyewitnessing, because I don't think I've ever spun so quickly on a decision.
I would have been more angry with the people that you're.
I was 100%
with that, as opposed to the movement. The movement of the statue and the people that were protecting it. I can separate.
Well, I don't know if you could have if you eyewitnessed it.
No. I would have absolutely no empathy, sympathy, or appreciation for those people that were spitting on cops or doing things like that nature. But the rationale, because at what point in time does somebody say, well, U.S. Grant's statue in front of Grant's tomb up in northern Manhattan should come down because that's U.S. Grant, and how far are we away from somebody deciding that Grant statue has to come down?
Why would Grant's statue have to come down?
Because tides change and somebody's going to say he beat the South. He's a horrible person.
Oh, yeah.
The South will rise again and Grant's got to come down.
Best thing I know about Grant is Grant married a woman who was a Southern woman.
Julia.
And Grant's in-laws gave him a slave. All right? On their wedding, they gave him a slave. Day 2, Grant went down, who was completely broke at the time.
Yeah.
All right? It was probably, the slave would have probably brought in $800,
right,
which is an annual salary.
Yeah.
It was not a cheap time.
Right. Grant
signed his freedom directly to that individual the second day he was married. Completely broke. Yeah. Didn't have a pot to piss in or a window to throw it out of. So
one of our more underrated presidents.
Completely saved our country twice.
Yep.
So guess what?
Sorry, Blake. Blake's stroking out in there. We're
way over our time.
Hi, honey. We're home.
Thank you guys, and thank goodness we live in a country where we do have freedom of speech, but you don't have freedom of
violence.
Being violent.
Correct.
We didn't get into a lot of what was happening in our country today, but I think you guys know where our feelings are with that.
Yep.
We want you to be able to say what you want to say, but you don't have the right to threaten or attack other people.
Right.
So
back to blue and think with your head, not under it.
That's right. I almost said this is uncommon ground. Wow.
We're strangely common tonight.
Yeah, we were actually pretty common
most of the time.
Except for your Florida statement.
I take it back. It was the political overlords in Florida, not necessarily Florida as a whole.
All right, this is Bollox Talks and Tangents. If you like the show, please hit that share button. If you didn't like the show, definitely hit the share button and torture your friends. Right. All right, we'll be back next week. Bye-bye.